What if I told you that you never stopped enjoying gaming, you just stopped playing them? And no, I don't mean that in some gaming isn't fun anymore type of way. What I mean is that there's a mental habit that's quietly making really good video games feel unenjoyable, and I didn't even realize I was doing this until I played Elden Ring. If you're not into that game, don't worry, it's just that the game has revealed something massive for me, and I got a story I want to share with you. So if you're ready, grab a drink, sit back and relax. Let's get into it. So I've always been interested in Elden Ring since it came out and I've always wanted to play it, but there was one main reason why I didn't get into it until now. The game appeared to be incredibly overwhelming in scale. I could handle the difficulty, like I knew that, but the world itself seemed so massive and I knew it would be a huge undertaking. I was honestly kind of treating the game like a checklist before I had even experienced it. And then when I finally did bite the bullet a week ago and buy the game and started playing it, that's kind of exactly what happened. Checklisting. I kept breaking immersion every 15 minutes, looking up how to do something or how to find certain items, and it felt less like exploring a world and more like following instructions. Like I was trying to get through it correctly instead of actually being in it. I was researching where exact items were, I was stressing out about my build and what it was going to be like, and at first, the game was feeling overwhelming and unenjoyable. It's like I was more concerned with just checking things off a list to get to my next thing I had to check off than allowing myself to just be in this beautifully created world and experience it. But soon after getting the game and kind of feeling this way, it dawned on me. Wouldn't this be way better if I just gave myself the courtesy of screwing up and experiencing it? Isn't that exactly what From Software wants me to do with their games? And so yeah, that's what I did. On one of my sessions a few days ago, I just played blind. No guides telling me where to go, I'm not farming for runes or items, I'm not stressing out about what I'm gonna level up next, I was just playing. And what would you know, it was the absolute most fun I've had with the game since getting it. Even when things went wrong, like taking a bad path or fighting something I clearly wasn't ready for, missing items, that kind of thing, I felt way more engaged, because for once, everything that was happening felt like my experience. Not something I was recreating from a guide, not something I was trying to perfect, just something I was living through in the moment. Now, this might all sound overly profound, and obviously this has happened to me with gaming before, but this is one of the first times in the last couple years where I've had a truly conscious realization of it. A lot of the time, I'm not even focused on what I'm doing right now in a game. I'm thinking about what I'll need later, what build I should be working towards, what items I might miss, what boss or event might be coming up. I'm so focused on the future of the game that I get completely lost in the present of it. But let's just deviate for a second here before this turns into every average gaming isn't fun anymore video that you've seen. What we'll talk about next should give some pretty good context. So, growing up and to this day, I love Call of Duty games. As much as recent iterations have been subpar, let's just get real here and be honest. They're competitive, they're fast, and most importantly, when you're doing well, they hit that crazy dopamine rush. When I was around the age of 10, 11, kinda when I started playing these games, I didn't really care about how I did in them, just that I was in them to begin with. Back then, a lot of it was just instinct. I'd try a weapon because it looked cool, or I'd run around a map not really knowing the best routes. I'd lose, I'd win, I'd try again, none of it really mattered beyond the moment. But as I got older, that kind of changed. I started paying attention to stats, to metas, to what other players were doing better than me. And naturally, I wanted to improve. I totally understand how it can be annoying or just kind of dumb to be sweaty in games, but at the same time, let's be real, in those FPS and competitive style games, the mindset kind of does make perfect sense. They're designed around competition, designed around efficiency, and being better than the person on the other side of the screen. So what's the point of my little story talking about Call of Duty here and a video about gaming and Elden Ring and all this stuff? What are we getting at here? Well, there's a right way to play these FPS and competitive games. Optimizing is part of the experience. But here's where things start to get a little weird. That mindset doesn't just stay in those games, it kinda follows you. If you play FPS and competitive games more casually, maybe not so much, but if you're anything like me and have dedicated an absolutely ridiculous amount of playtime to these types of games, I think you're gonna see what I mean. Somewhere along the lines over all these years of playing Call of Duty and competitive games, that mindset of wanting to be better, better, better has kind of followed me into open world games or single player games, story games, games that were never meant to be played that way in the first place. I used to just sit back and play and enjoy as a kid, but before I even realized it, I was approaching nearly every game like there's an optimal way to play it. And yes, I understand that even these games do in a sense have an optimal way to play them, and Elden Ring as an example, you're trying to get your build better, you have an idea of what you want to be down the line. Like, I understand that there's a bit of a balance, but do you see the disconnect between optimizing in a game like Call of Duty versus a game like Elden Ring? But I think this is probably a good time to segue into my next question, because, once again, let's be real. Is optimizing games really that bad? Is looking up things in order to save time and get better wrong? Well, the answer is kind of nuanced, I believe. Going back to Elden Ring, the game is crazy huge. The amount of stuff is almost overwhelming, so yeah, having a guide open sometimes isn't ruining anything. In a lot of cases, it actually helps. It saves time, it points you in a direction, and it keeps you from feeling completely lost. But that's not really the problem. The problem is when that becomes your default, when it becomes more than just looking up a guide or thinking ahead, when the game becomes a mental checklist over an experience. So for myself, and quite possibly you as well, this is what I believe to be the focal reason as to why single-player games haven't been enjoyable in the way they were when I was a kid. It's not that gaming isn't the same, or, oh, when I was a kid I was so much more immersed because I was so much more ignorant. I mean, those are factors, yes, but not the key. The key is that there's a misbalance between optimization and enjoyment. I myself spend way too much time trying to optimize games, trying to be the best I can. You know the gist. We need to learn to just sit back and enjoy games again. I need to learn how to just do that, because it's not about what's down the line, it's about what's right now. And this all sounds really profound again, but I mean, it's kind of just the case. Maybe everything I've talked about today seems obvious to some people, but to me it just felt kind of cool to have a true gaming epiphany almost, and kind of felt fitting to come from a game like Elden Ring. In a way, it's actually kind of ironic too, because of all the single player games like Elden Ring are kind of up there for ones you have to optimize, to beat the bosses, to get better, like that kind of jazz, but I digress. Thanks for watching, everyone. Drop a like if you enjoyed, drop a comment, let me know if you have any similar experiences, and subscribe if you're liking my vibe. With all that being said, Critical Snipes is out. Congratulations, you actually made it all the way to the end of the video. Here's an Easter egg.